What's up, Rangers? Welcome to the Jakks. My name's Steve, and today we're prepping this guy and going to repaint him and try to make him look a little cooler. Beginning of this video is going to be me, if I actually remembered. Still thought I did. Wrong bag. Hold on a second. Alright. Found it. We're going to be filling in some gaps with some Milla putty, some Mia putty, and the game plan, I'm just going to do it, I'll film it of course, but I'm just going to fill in these holes here so they're one solid piece, and then maybe try to clean up these seam lines a little bit so they're not quite as noticeable. So I'll get to that, and then after that we'll be sanding out, primary, and painting, which what I mean by sanding is this stuff's gonna have to get sanded down afterwards. So I'll just let it record and we'll come back later. Okay, so next is going to be the sculpting section, which I'm going to be using this Milla putty. For this stuff, you pretty much just blend an equal amount, you roll it together, and then you sculpt it like clay, but it hardens really well, and it also hardens pretty fast. And it air dries is the big thing too. So I'm going to be using this to fill in the gaps here, and then I'm just going to try to make it sort of look like scales to the best of my abilities, and then we'll come back afterwards to let it dry. One thing I will recommend with this stuff anyways is use some gloves. Once you get it on your hands, like I already got some Milla putty, it's really hard to get off. So definitely make sure to wear some protectant while doing this stuff. So next, what we'll be doing is I'm going to be airbrushing him in a pavement color, and then be going over top of him with a dark gray, kind of giving him a more Toho look to him. Also, it's kind of what I see sort of the toys doing for Monster Arts, so we're going to go with that look. I think it'd be cool. And then a lot of the hand brushing will be for illuminated spines and going over top of the scaling, trying to give it some texture. Now, I will say this, that it's not my best job at filling gaps. I've done a couple of anime figures. Those have turned out really swimmingly. Problem is the way the spines are, it's really hard to get in there and file and stuff, and now I'm just taking away more and more things. So I think we're going to leave it. For the most part, I think it looks fine. Some spots could maybe be slightly cleaner than others, but it kind of gives it more, I don't know, like those Rampage ones where they had not as bad as those. Like, hopefully when I do the painting, I'll be able to hide a lot of the crimes that I had. So we'll see. It's usually when I fill gaps, it's over smooth surfaces, or at least sort of smooth. This had a lot more harder edges, so it was a lot harder to try to clean up everything. So you're still going to see some lines here and there when you're staring at it, but hopefully with the coloring, it'll hide a lot of that. But anyways, I gotta mix the paint real quick, and then we will get to the brushing. Not sure if the T-Rex video will be out before this, but for mixing paint, I do 50-50. 50% of the acrylic paint that I'm using, and 50 of, I got acrylic thinner to make it a little bit easier to use in the airbrush. And then generally how I mix it is I just use one of these, fill it up about the same, go maybe slightly higher, and then mix it up real good. guys a side-by-side of the original Jakks and the new one. As you can see, original one, bunch of screw holes. This one doesn't have screw holes anymore. Also, we get the bioluminescence of the blue on the back here, which the original one clearly didn't. We also did the wash over top of this to show a lot of the really nicely molded details on the Jakks that you don't really get to quite appreciate on the original because it's all one mute color. Like, you get to see a little bit on the front, but to be fair, that looks kind of poopy. So added a little bit more to mine to make it stand out a little bit better and look a little bit more film accurate. Not quite film accurate though. Like, I still kind of wanted this to look like a toy per se, but just a nicer looking toy. Like, sort of NECA toy. Not quite Japanese, but NECA. Like, that's what I promise out of figures that I produce for this channel. They'll at least be NECA good, or at least like production distributed good. But anyways, just so you guys a closer look at what I did. Because we had the montage, I don't explain too much during those things. So this is kind of just a little walkthrough of what I went through, what you guys just witnessed. But you'll see here, filled in the sections here with the Tamiya putty to kind of try to help hide the sections. Not my cleanest job, I will admit. But it does help to hide the seam lines a little bit better. Same with, you can see it on the tail here. Because for personally, like, I don't really mess with that stuff too much. Like, I've done it with some anime statues, and those turn out perfectly fine. But they're like smooth edge on smooth edge. You make it one seam. This, it's like, oh, you got all the scaling and stuff in the way, so it makes it really hard to sand it down and get it smooth. So I tried to blend it as much as I could with the paint. But it's still a little bit noticeable. But you can see here on the tail too. Just tried to hide the seams a little bit better. Same with, you'll notice again on the sides, there's no screw holes, which some of them turned out actually way better than I thought they would. Because this used to be a screw hole. That section I think used to be a screw hole. Trying to eyeball. That used to be a screw hole. There's the one on the neck here. The one on the chest section. It's one by the crotch here, right there. The two that didn't turn out quite as good, I guess you could sort of say that one, but this one you actually still can see the screw hole slightly. And then back here, I probably could have sanded that down a little bit more, but it still blends in pretty well. Like, it more or less stands in with the figure. It's just like when you hardcore notice or looking for it, you'll see it. But other than that, for the paint job, if you guys are wondering, I used a pavement color, which is just like a really, really dark gray for the undercoat, which I used the airbrush to apply that. Then dry brushed I think it was pewter gray was the color, but it's like not quite light. It's more of like a slightly darker gray. And then a really light brown over top of that. So, but the light brown, I kind of like went by over it quick. Like the gray, I applied it pretty much all over the figure. Well, the brown was just splatterings here and there just to make it pop better. I mainly focused on the chest section of the kaiju with the brown for the most part, just to make his stomach show off a little bit better. But you can see on the back here. For the bioluminescence, if you will, that I used a satin metallic blue that I lightened up with some gloss white to help kind of give it a little bit more of a shine. You'll notice that it's not the cleanest paint job, and that's more or less on purpose, because I thought with it kind of looking a little messy that it would actually kind of give it more of a bioluminescence look. Because if it was super clean edges and consistent paint job, it kind of would look more like stripes to me. So that's the reasoning behind that, and I think it overall gives it the right look. Because I was kind of trying to go for how he looks in the posters that they did, where each of the posters are like the predominant monster's colors. So like his poster is blue with him with his light up spines, and like Ghidorah was yellow, Rodan was red, Mothra was teal, I think. You'll see here for the paint job for the face, I more or less just replicated the Jakks a little bit, but I made the pupils a little bigger, added the little bit of eye shine
to it just to give it a little bit more character, and made the teeth a little cleaner looking than it was originally. Just to show you guys. You'll kind of see again, it's fairly similar, but I didn't really like the tiny pupils, and the teeth were kind of like all over the place on that a little bit. He does have the fleshy tone. I decided to keep this in the darker tone. I just kind of thought it looked better because it makes the teeth stand out a little bit more too. So other than that, I think that's about it. Like, you'll notice the nails aren't really, I didn't do the wash over top of the nails. I actually went back through and darkened the nails slightly after doing all my washes. Just looks more closer to what I seen for the film, him having the darker nails. Because initially I decided to do the ivory, but it just looked weird. And then again, going back through it, it wasn't really quite correct anyway, so decided to change that for the final product. And then for the end, I know you guys don't see that part, but I just used it's matte finish clear Mod Podge, which you could just find at like any craft store, Walmart, what have you. You want to use the matte finish so that it gives it a little bit of a shine, but it also helps to protect your paint job so it's not going to scuff off. What's nice too is it still kept the articulation for it. This is the only part that you might get a little bit of rub here eventually, but you don't really got to worry about the actual detailing of the figure, because for the most part you're just going to kind of line it up and call it a day. But anyways, I thought he turned out really good. Again, it's still more akin to what you would expect to buy as an action figure. It's not quite like X Plus quality, but mainly like when I try to repaint toys and stuff, like I still want it to kind of look like a toy in a sense. Like I probably could have went like a little bit more detailing with the eyes and added some more finer detailing for like the nails and did a light up gimmick. Would have probably been better. That one I would have probably had to have done before I bolted it, because probably would have just dremeled out in between the spines and added some lights. So there would have been a gap there, but well, actually I probably could just use some clear plastic and cover it up. But anyways, you would have to have cut out a section so the lights would shine through. That was something I was thinking about, but that would have been a little over budget, and also because I'm trying to keep this in budget, we're doing a giveaway. So you actually will be able to get this figure right here. I wish I could give this one away, because I kind of like the way that this one turned out. But we're gonna do this bad boy here. I might go back through and do this one again eventually, or maybe get one for myself. Maybe do the light up gimmick for that one. I wouldn't hold your breath, but it's a possibility. We still have a crap ton at our Walmart, so maybe next payday, maybe we'll try that. I don't know. But if you guys are interested in getting this for the contest, guess we'll give it 2 weeks. 2 weeks of the publication of this video. Just make sure that you are a subscriber to the channel. Comment down below if you guys are interested in getting this, and let me know down there as well if you guys have done any of this stuff for yourselves, or if you guys just think this is cool. If you think I should have blended things better, I kind of agree too. At least for the Tamiya putty, I maybe could have been, I probably could have applied it a little cleaner. Actually, that probably would have helped a lot, but the stuff dries super quick, so it's a little bit harder to use. Could have used the millet putty, but that gets expensive. So, yeah. Anyways, again, comment down below. Make sure you're subscribed. In 2 weeks, we will pick a winner. Just one, though. We only have one figure to give away. But anyways, help us defeat those kaijus by hitting the like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.